Okay, so this is the third part of this like little production. Okay, so the first one I did was on personality. We were talking about basically who we are. The second one I did was more about like what is your purpose and that sort of thing. So now here's the third one. Also, too, just to explain my shirt real quick, I am not affiliated with any religion or anything. This shirt, I saw it in the thrift shop and it cracked me the F up. I had to have it because it's like my my church, my temple within, my kingdom within, and that sort of thing. So that's what that is. Because I know sometimes people jump to snap conclusions about things. So I just wanted to explain that real quick. So and it just was handy. So all right. Anyway, so there's no purpose behind wearing it in that sense. All right. So this is the like third video. So basically, what I was alluding to in all of these and building up to was, I was talking about these questions that we have and like the age-old questions and the philosophers have been trying to answer it forever. The physicists are trying to answer this and that, and the scientists and the biologists and all of this kind of stuff, right? So, but and this is the biggie. It's why, okay? Why are we here? All right. I'm not going to propose to have the answer. All right, I'm just going to let you know that right now. But I'm going to, maybe throw some interesting things to kind of add to that process, okay, of perhaps obtaining that answer. All right. So, and I haven't done it yet, and that's because of those first two videos. And I'll get to that in a minute. All right. So basically, first of all, what we need to do is look at questions themselves. Like, what are they? All right, and that's a question in itself. Okay, like what are questions is a question. All right, which is my point, because if you think about it, it's like because that's what I was trying to do. I've been trying to do this for days. All right, is to define exactly like what is a question. All right, because it's like think like if we didn't have them, like what would we be? Like if we didn't want to know why, if we didn't want to know who we are, who that is, who am I talking to? If we didn't want to know who, or had no desire to, or if we had no desire to know where am I? What is this apartment I wouldn't even know, because I wouldn't know what where meant or anything. So it's like, I hope you grasp what I'm saying. It's like what the hell are questions? Okay, so what I started thinking about that took me a little bit on a subtopic, which I'll talk about real quick, because it made me think a little bit about animals. Because it's always pissed me off. You read these studies like, do animals have consciousness? And it's like that just drives me nuts. It's like, I have like zero abilities in physics or biology or philosophy, really, or well, kind of self-taught, but whatever. But yes, animals have consciousness. I'll just solve that question right now. All right, so scientists can stop spending all this money. Yes, I mean, really, anybody who has had any type of awareness, with another animal can see that they have consciousness. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So, but what got me thinking was, because they always say that animals are in the now. They are very much, they live in the present. So I was thinking about that, and I thought about questions with human beings. And it's like, it's very much not about being in the now, because we question things, we question time, we question all these different things. And it's like, if we didn't have questions, again, like I said, we wouldn't know who or what or where or when. We wouldn't know any of those things. So what would we be doing? We would be very much just living on instinct and in the now. Now, that would not mean we did not have consciousness, because we still have consciousness, but we just don't have the ability to ask questions. Okay, so I was thinking that's maybe, and I don't know, but I mean, Consciousness, yes. Yes, I do know animals have consciousness. But do they know about questions? I don't know. But I was speculating that maybe that is the difference. Maybe they don't ask questions. So that's like what makes everything so confusing, why they have to do these studies. So, who knows, whatever. So, but anyway, that's a sideline, type topic. But the first thing to do, is to think about that, what are questions? Because that is pretty much, I feel, the driving force of our existence, really. I mean, because from questions arise desire and invention and creating things and our driving force to keep going with things because we want to know why, and not just the why of the meaning of life. I mean, we want to know why or who, and who's going to be my soulmate, who's going to be my twin flame. Why didn't that person treat me well? Why did this happen? Well, it's like, where am I going to be, so and so? Where should I be living here? Should I be living there? It's like this like freaking labyrinth of questions, okay? But it's like, but the only one that really seems to be the one we can't solve, because mostly, through physics and things like that, and theoretical physics and all those types of things, we can kind of answer like what we are, who we are, where we are, the cosmos, and whirling on a planet a million miles per hour, hurtling through space, and photons and electrons. We can pretty much answer those types of questions. But the one that seems to elude everyone is why. Okay, so it's like, why are we here? So, and again, I'm not going to propose to have the answer here, but that's because I haven't asked, which is going to be my whole point frankly. But, some of the interesting things that occurred to me about why is that, I'm a big fan of letters and anagrams and words and etymology and, all those types of things. I always have been since I was a kid. I used to drive my mom crazy. We'd be driving to the grocery store and I'd look at the license plates like on every single car and I'd read it backwards or make a word out of it, or it's like I was like really, really like into that kind of stuff. I don't do that stuff anymore. I purposefully got myself out of it, but because it was becoming like an obsession, so luckily I know, Scorpio, sometimes we know when to rein that in, and not cross that extreme line. But I am still a fan. I do engage in that type of stuff. So, I was thinking about why and all that kind of stuff, and I thought of the letter Y. All right. So in doing that, in thinking of why, I really kind of look at this as, sort of like the spinal column and like antenna kind of going out. So here's something that kind of weird, that this is going to make sense in a second. Well, I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Depends. Take it or leave it. There's a guy here on YouTube that I watch frequently. He's really great. I highly recommend him. His name is Dolo, and that's Doelow. I think it's Dolo the Pilot Man is the full thing, but if you just type in Doelow, you'll find him. He smokes a lot of pot and espouses all these like crazy things, but they're not crazy. They're actually very, very profound and useful also. But he has one particular video that I found extremely helpful, and it was the best explanation I have ever come across. And I used to have a metaphysical bookstore. I've worked in metaphysical bookstores for a good chunk of my life as well. I've read 50 million things that have crossed my path, like unusual things, that most people wouldn't be able to, come across, all that kind of stuff. And he has the best description of the Tree of Life. And I think the video is actually called The Tree of Life Explained. I think that's the name of it, because he has 50 million videos. He has a lot of videos. He's very prolific. But anyway, so the Tree of Life, I'm assuming you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. It's the symbol that looks like this. Okay, right? The like Kabbalah thing, and it's like supposed to be kind of mostly people think it's kind of has a lot to do with the chakras. The way Dolo explains it, he talks about dimensions and the descension, the ascension, all those types of things. But one of the things I really like that he brought up about this is, this is the God space up here, and he talks about this space over here as being angel space. Okay, so I thought that was a really good way of putting it. Sort of the space above, that's not in here is angel space. So that's why, I really liked the why, in asking why, I think of the letter Y. And, to me, it's like the tree of life. It's like this Kundalini, spinal cord, or the body of man, whatever, and then reaching out, with the antenna to angel space, right? Kind of thing. So this will make a little bit more sense in a minute. But going back to this, actually, because this is really important. If you Google like images, tree of life and that sort of thing, you'll see a lot of different ones. They're all pretty much the same in some way. But what I did notice is on a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, is if you can see right here, the dotted lines, okay? So that suggests that it's kind of like in the background, right? It's like kind of hovering there, and that is Dath, or I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. It might be Dath, I'm not sure. It's Daath, okay, which interestingly is associated with Pluto, okay? And Pluto, as most of us know, is the planet of death and regeneration, okay? It is also the planet for Scorpio. A lot of people say, oh, it's Pluto or Mars, or Pluto and Mars, but as a Scorpio, it's Pluto. All right, there's no Mars. It's all about Pluto for Scorpios. So, and what's the Scorpio card in tarot, right? It's the death card. Okay, Pluto, death, and regeneration. So, what's interesting, if you look at this one here, this is another pictorial of the tree of life. All right, so this one's from a pretty like ancient type text. Okay, so what do we have above the head? We have Dath. All right, just kind of hanging out there. All right, so what's interesting is you can see where I'm going with the Y, right? It's like we have this straight line and then these two lines going up here, so it's kind of like a Y shape. And that, in that case, going up to those upper things of the tree of life is wisdom and understanding, okay? So, and then we have Doth just kind of hanging out there, the crown, around this mystical area. So, and what's really cool is, like I said, not on all of these, but on most of these, Doth is like, it's shaded in the background. Like other illustrations, you might see it filled in, but it's behind this staff. See how the other ones are not behind it? But when you see Dath, it'll be like behind it. So it alludes to the fact that it's something a little mysterious that's sort of behind. Now, what's really funny, too, is with the Tree of Life, symbolism is, it's kind of ties into the chakras and that sort of thing, right? So it's not like we can't see chakras either. We can't see, or if these are realms or whatever, we can't actually see those, okay? So imagine then how mysterious Dath is, okay? Because, these things we can't even see. We kind of just get a sense that they're there and that there's this, like, intertwining energy and all this kind of stuff, but we can't physically, like, see it. I can't see my chakras, right? So it's like, so imagine how elusive then is Dath if these are elusive, and this is even more elusive being back there. So anyway, so Pluto, right? Okay. And death, they just seem to be sounding pretty much the same to me. And then, I also thought too of like the Bible passage, and I'm sure I will quote it wrong, so feel free to correct me. It's not important. What's important is, I think you guys know the gist of what it is. But it's something like, yea, as I travel through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear not, or something along those lines. Well, that's really interesting, because it's like, as I travel through the valley of the shadow of death. And it's isn't it strange that it's like this passageway, this shadowy area, that we all kind of, the mini death that we all have to go through, the resurrection, to be reborn, we have to go through like the dark period before we can be renewed, and we have to make it past that. And, I don't know, maybe some of you have been through this or not. I don't, it depends how much you guys do stuff, but if you meditate a little bit, or like if anybody's ever tried to like astral travel, or, any of those types of things, a lot of times what'll happen, is, something kind of frightening will happen. And not like scary monsters or something. I mean, for some, it may be something like that, but like, it's just like this, like scary type feeling, like, oh shit, this is working, and it's like, your brain will kick in and bring you back, from going. Cause it's like, it kind of freaks you out. Cause it's like, oh shit, this is actually working kind of deal. So, and that will happen. Like if you, in meditation, like if you start getting pretty deep, into your meditations and things, you're going to have some experiences like that. Or you might see like kind of shadows of people looking at you, or like just weird stuff, right? Or if you're trying to astral travel or something, and you start seeing those stars and then you're about to do that, then that might freak you out and you pull back. So, I find it interesting that it's like we're so, we don't want to, we don't, we don't want to go there. It's like we're too attached, and that's where the previous videos come in that I did before this. So the parts 1, the parts 2, I'll try to link them in here, in the comments or something like that. But it's because of our attachment so much. It's like, quite frankly, that's why we don't have the answer. Because the thing is, there's an answer to every question. All right, there's an answer to why we are here. And sure, the things will say, well, no, some things just can't be known, or you'll know when you die. That's always, oh, really? It's like, okay, great. So like when I die, I'm going to know the answer of life. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because quite frankly, we don't die. I mean, like Molly will die, but I will keep going. My energy will just go into something else. So it's like, we don't die, no energy dies, it's all transformed. So, I mean, so that means we'd never know, So no, I mean, if there's a question, there's an answer. So we can find out why we are here. We don't want to. That's pretty much the bottom line. So why, so why don't we want to know? That's pretty much covered in those previous videos. I mean, there's a whole slew of reasons, but that's really not, we don't need to go into that stuff. The point is, it's like, if you do want to know why we are here, and that's, I said at the beginning of this video that I haven't done it yet. I haven't asked, because, in one of the other ones I mentioned about how I did ask one time what my purpose was, and I received the answer. I actually received the answer. All right, ask and ye shall know. It shall be given unto you. Okay, so it's like, but you just can't ask, and that's what I was talking about before. You just can't like sit there and say, okay, well, and sit there and say, okay, why am I here? That doesn't work. You have to, and I think that's kind of like where this, this more type of energy and this Pluto and all these kind of weirdness things kind of come into play, is that I think it takes a, I think the other questions can be answered fairly simply. Like I said, I received something in a dream that was an archetypal image that, answered my question, of what my purpose was, and that sort of thing. So as far as why, I've never really asked, why I am here, but I think it's, it's time. I'm working up to it, and I think I'm going to do it. But it's like, because I know, like innately somehow I know that if I get that answer, everything's, going to change. And same thing for you. If you get that answer, it's a whole new ball game. So, but the way to do it, is, I feel, is to ask and ye shall know. But you have to ask with an intent, like a true intention of sincerity and wanting to know, and you have to show that you are worthy of receiving the answer. So I do feel, that it takes a little bit of some sort of discipline. I'm not going to say, I don't think you have to go to a yogi cave and whatever, deprive yourself of this for 10 years or any of that stuff. I think you just have to be sincere. And, but I do think that you do need a little bit of somewhat of discipline. So, through meditation, because, if you're not still, if you can like take no thought, then the answer is not going to be able to come through to you. So, meditation helps us get to the point where we can connect, with more of the right brain type of energy, at least attempt to. And, it's there's a lot of like really cosmic things in the Bible. And I mentioned him in, I think the first one, Bill Donahue talks about a lot in his videos on YouTube. I highly recommend this guy too. He's not religious in that way, but he uses the Bible as a tool of wisdom, okay, in order to figure out certain things. Be careful on Bill Donahue. If you Google or if you YouTube him, there's 2 Bill Donahues out there. One is like a Catholic priest or something like that. That's not him. He's the other guy. All right, wears glasses, has 50 million videos. They're usually numbered, and he has a great website as well. Hiddenmeanings.com is his website. So that way you can see that you're getting the right guy. But, he talks a lot, about, going into the room, I will meet you there, all these like really profound Bible passages that are actually like instructions of how to do this, how to get the, to open the passageways to the right side. All right. The right side is huge, is extremely important. And I've touched on it a little bit in videos before, even some of my tarot videos. I'll kind of like drop little hints and things like that. But I can't express how huge, and I'm no expert or anything like that. I'm just barely scratching the surface of this. And I've been meditating for a really long time, but I've also been meditating a really long time with not real direction either. So, and then I took a big break and now I'm back at it again. So that kind of screwed me up too. But I can say from truth that I've had a couple like extremely profound experiences that I know, that this is, it's worth it. Okay, that's all I can say. Because it does me no good to describe my experience and any of that kind of stuff, because yours will be different, yours will be different, yours will be everybody's is going to be different. Okay, but you'll just know, if you have these like kind of profound things going on, a lot of things will figure it out. So my point is, though, that you do have to do a little bit of groundwork, I feel, to do this, but then just ask. That's it. But you got to be willing to, it's got to be the right time. You got to know that once you get this information, it's going to change. It's going to change a lot of things for you. Okay, so you got to be willing to put yourself in that position and prepare yourself to be in that position to receive that answer. But it truly is, I believe, again, I don't know for sure. So, but I can say that it has worked for other questions. But, it truly is that simple. And, they say that. They always say, like the real high ones, the real yogis, the real masters and all that, they always say that you're going to laugh your ass off. Like when you find it, because it's like, it's simple. So, and I think that's it. You just need to ask. So anyway, I'm going to wind this up. But again, I don't forget, since we're at the end of this video now, don't forget about the stuff I talked about in the beginning, because I think it's really important to really think about what questions are and how they how they shape our being and our everything. All right. So, okay, I'm going to leave it there. All right. Thanks, guys.